Hello, you guys. Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. Today, I have a very special feature on the show for you guys. It is definitely a gem. I have That LCSW Dominique with me, and she will be presenting one of her first video platform presentations for you guys on her podcast here with me. So she is over all things mental. It's a podcast, but now it's going to be a video cast. And she's also a licensed clinical social worker operating in and out of the state of Indiana. You have additional places that you're treating people yet, or no?
No, in the works for Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio.
Mm-hmm. And I also have Chenelle Ellie, and she is the owner and lead psychotherapist at Self Cared For Counseling Service. And we will be talking to you guys about some of the key features of trauma and indicators of mental health disorders and things like that. We're going to destigmatize and break down and normalize the characters in this movie. But Dominique's podcast is 100% dedicated to having the conversations about normalizing some of the behaviors that we see in characters that have particular mental health disorders that are on screen. So that's why I say she definitely is a rarity. Her content is a rarity. And it's definitely one that's needed out there because so many people walk through life and think that, okay, if you're getting help, if you're seeing a therapist, if you're seeing a counselor, there is something wrong with you. But a lot of the characters that you guys aspire to be and, shape your behaviors around, they're successfully gauging and living their best life with these mental health disorders on screen. So I think it's great when you can get a clinical standpoint of the behaviors that we see on screen. And of course, you guys know I have the accountability conversations, and that's a whole nother thing. But so I'm going to let them introduce themselves and some history and background about their platforms. And I've also included a link to Dominique's newly established YouTube. So don't forget to share this, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But share and like and subscribe her content because you'll see more things like this over there.
All right. Thank you for that introduction. It was great. So, I am Dominique Jackson Pittman, and I am a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Indiana. I am the founder of Inspired Peace Counseling Services. We provide individual, family, couples counseling for every age group. And as far as my podcast, I have different things. I think we cover like Hercules, Ariel, Tiana and the Gang. There's just some different content on there. So be sure to follow All Things Mental as well as That LCSW on Facebook, as well as at IPCS Indiana on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Okay, Chenelle, so go ahead and tell them where they can find you.
I thought you were going to intro me, but okay. Hello. My name is Chenelle Ellie. I am the lead psychotherapist in Self Care For Counseling Services. We are located in the state of Maryland, but we also serve the state of Florida. We are almost there with Virginia and DC. So look out for me there. I also host a podcast called Mommy's Little Girls, where we talk about how our experiences with our mothers transform into our experiences as mothers with our own children. And yeah, you can find me on Facebook, hashtag Chenelle Speaks, and any other type of social media platform.
All right, so we're going to get into it. Today we're going to talk about Cruella. So I know that, we've been on this whole super black power trip and everything for like the last year and a half or 2 years or so. But if you guys have not checked out Cruella, go and check out Cruella. It is a great, great representation of people all people and all different types of facets in life, all representatives, populations of people. The LGBTQIA plus community is represented well in the movie. I think that the Black people are represented well in the movie. I think that all the white people, or should I say Eurocentric people, because we know about that, right? Um, all of them are represented well in the movie, but more importantly, this movie is very different than 101 Dalmatians. And so I don't want to take over Dominique's moment to shine here.
You're good. You're good.
but
Um,
but it's a
yeah.
lot, I'm gonna let her go ahead and take off with her intro as to how she likes to do things on her show.
Oh, it's good. You did a great job so far. But yeah, we did notice just some changes and some differences with the live action versus the animated 101 Dalmatians, and how it kind of tied into Cruella. So I think that sticking with Cruella is the best option tonight. Because when we look at 101 Dalmatians, I mean, she is the subject of the mental health, just the mental health topic, because she was the main, one of the main characters that portrayed mental health difficulty. So we'll focus on Cruella, 2021's Cruella, which I think Chenelle mentioned, one of the darkest Disney movies she's seen.
Seriously, I forgot I was watching a Disney movie for a while. It was so good.
It was good. I had all the feels, but it
Mhm.
was so hard to take off that. Like, it's hard for me to take off that mental health cap and looking at different things in that perspective. So anytime I watch any movie, I'm looking at the characters like, oh yeah, borderline, DMDD, classic ADHD, and that's why I look at different characters, because if you can know and love these characters and you can understand their background and where they're coming from, it's that much easier to destigmatize mental health when it comes to somebody on the street. Or, sometimes we're even hard on our family. So I take these characters and I just kind of look at them from that perspective and give an idea of what different mental health diagnoses look like.
So my question is, what did you think in watching the movie? Like, what were your thoughts as everything was unveiled? Kind of like as we went from scene to scene. Um, I know for me, I thought like, whoa. Like I feel like Chenelle. Like I literally remember passively, because I think we talked about this when we first thought about doing it. I was like, well, I guess I'll just, yeah. I've watched a couple of 101 Dalmatian movies with Cruella or whatever. I always find myself disinterested, even in the animated series of the pups. Okay, I just was not that interested. You cannot keep my attention even from the beginning. And I think that when this came on, at first I was like, yeah, okay, it's gonna be a rough day, Dominique, but I'm here for you. Okay, so I
No,
watched
it's
it
so
for the
good.
support. Yeah, I
Mhm.
know. And so I think I heard some things happen. And then I think like I was passive. I was getting ready to come in there. I was getting out of the shower, movie was playing and stuff like that on Disney Plus. I paid the $30, whatever.
$30.
Yeah, that's how much it is for
Look, we're
premium
not gonna go
access.
into that because I already told her. I already told her what she can do.
For
$30.
premium, yeah, premium access.
Yeah, Premier Access
Because it's in the movie theater still. So you're paying for
called
two
a
tickets,
matinee.
basically. Look, my daughter was like, "Oh my god!" My son came in there. He was like, "Mom, I can't believe you spent $30 on that. You definitely waste your money. You definitely waste your money."
No, it's so good. But I grew up all things Disney. Like,
Mhm.
I couldn't watch anything. Like, a lot of people take my black card because I haven't watched a lot of movies that are considered popular in the black culture,
Like
because I
what?
grew up Disney.
Like what?
I won't even name all the movies, but
Okay.
just know
Okay.
I could only watch Disney. We couldn't watch we couldn't watch BT, barely could watch MTV. Like we were just very sheltered. So
Okay.
I only watch Disney. So I can get on any Disney movie and sing every song. That Cruella song has been stuck in my head since I watched that movie. And I be knowing word for word. And my husband like, seriously? And I'm like, yes. This is what I was born to do. No, I'm
Yeah.
joking.
But I will say that I was skeptical at first because I was just like, how we going? Because you know how Disney makes these movies about the villains and they try to make you relate to them. And I was like, how are we going to relate to a lady that's killing puppies? Come on now. She killing little puppies, little spotted puppies. That's not okay with me. But they did it. They did their thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she actually killed a puppy, right? She didn't kill the puppies.
No.
And now I kind of understand why she don't like the puppies because they
were that right, and so that's what I said. It was so different.
This was not meant to dislike Dalmatians.
Yeah,
Look,
this one is not like the 101 Dalmatian narrative. It was completely the opposite. So it gave a particular viewpoint of where it is that this person could get a misconstrued notion based off of their traumatic history, right? Because her trauma was in the very beginning, because that's where I heard all of that getting. I was like, whoa, wait, let me rewind. Somebody died.
Yeah.
Somebody got thrown off a cliff. Let me rewind this. Now you got me.
The fact that, and it was, we're doing spoilers, right?
Terrible person, right?
We're doing spoilers, right? Because we got to get
analyzing the movie. If you didn't, see it, maybe go watch it and then come back, because it will be on my YouTube channel and it will be on my podcast, All Things Mental. But yeah, disclaimer, it's probably, we already probably ruined some stuff. Sorry. But
no, that's the purpose.
Talking about it like we have to. So if you don't like it, I like spoiler alerts because I have anxiety, so I have to know what's going on, and I read things on Netflix ahead of time so I know if my favorite person survived or not. So
what?
I don't mind. Yeah.
What?
I don't mind spoiler alerts, but if you don't, you got to click off now.
I don't like it.
It was good at that point when the death happened, and I was like, so I went back, came in, I was 100% into this movie from there, and I did not want to leave from watching it. Didn't want to go to sleep from watching it because it was really that good. It was entertaining from the beginning to the end. Unlike 101 Dalmatians, and the thing is, the narrative is completely different. It's not the same narrative given about Cruella and the Dalmatian puppies or any of that. It's very different. And so this paints a story of a traumatic event that led to a child internalizing, and we talk about attachment trauma all the time, but we don't realize how deep attachment trauma goes. I feel like the picture did a really good job at showing what attachment trauma looks like, because even though you would not know from just watching the movie initially, you wouldn't know that the attachment trauma of her primary parent was the thing that signified all these inadequacies and incongruencies in the way that she presented and the way that she was always struggling with her sense of self and things. Good night, Jerry. How are you? Yes, our day was great. Yeah. But even if you didn't know that, you would see everything come full circle in watching this, because you saw a kid that had a parent that was very loving, attentive, caring, and trying to teach all of the skills necessary for her to be able to grow up in this world or whatever, despite her physical presentation that got people's attention, negative attention. I think one of the ladies in the very beginning looked at her and said, "Oh, that's unfortunate."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate you were born like that.
Unwanted from the very beginning.
Yes.
I mean, it could have a huge impact on a child's psyche just in general. So trauma played a really big role in this.
However,
genetics.
However, she didn't know that she was unwanted because she thought that was her mother up until the end of the movie?
No. She knew that she was unwanted because of the way they looked at her. Her hair being split two different colors.
True, but at least she felt that love from her mother, who she thought was her mother through the majority of the movie.
That speaks to how sometimes just that love is not always enough.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was
Um,
able to anchor her until, like, I guess you guys see the part where she goes to school, right? Going to
Yeah.
comprehensive school. And for those of you with a European background like me, you know, comprehensive school is like high school. And so when she got ready to go to comprehensive school and the mom gave her the little spiel, like, listen, what do we do? What do we say to Cruella? Hi, Cruella. Bye, Cruella. Because you can't go in here with me. So that
Mm-hmm.
means that we already see that she was definitely understanding that she was struggling with her sense of self and the personalities that she had to deal with on a day to day before then. We also see it when her mom is trying to teach her to sew, and Estella is there for that. And then all of a sudden, Estella receives this model, Stitch, and then Cruella rips it apart. In the same, what are we doing? In a moment's reaction. So that's why I said borderline personality disorder, because with borderline personality disorder, that's where we see the people shift within minutes on this in the same day, and they can go right back to being their same person after that in minutes. So even though it looks a lot like manic episodes or, you know, bipolar disorder, we see a shorter time span of getting back to their sense of self in this other presentation. But it's it's a lot.
Yeah, but would borderline disorder be diagnosed that early on?
Yeah, because she was in comprehensive school. So comprehensive. So people in Europe don't go to school till they're 17. Our schools are not like you guys. So
Mm-hmm.
school ends when a kid is 13 ish. So about 8 years is what formal education looks like for us, because we get history in like second to fifth grade ish, in an intensive form. And that typically looks like foreign exchange programs and things like that. So we can go and engulf ourselves in the culture of different countries and, you know, that sort of thing. But by the time a child reaches 13, they're done with school. And it's time for them to go and get some additional formal education or craft so that they can go into the world by 18. So it's not the same system set up over there. So she definitely would have gotten the same. I feel like she probably would have gotten a DID diagnosis first though, because her mom noticed the incongruence in presentations of self. And DID is multi-personality disorder. So back then that's what it was called, multi-personality disorder. So she would have gotten that.
can we say dissociative identity disorder? Just want to make that clear for people who might not know what DID
Mm-hmm.
is, but also the multiple personality disorder, like you mentioned before.
Hmm.
But I was thinking, Chenelle, I was thinking what you were thinking. Originally, my thought process was okay, she's too young for a borderline personality disorder, but I did see the multiple personalities, but I also saw the aggression and the like the just the pick and fights and just those types of things. So I was looking at like oppositional defiant disorder as well as disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, which it could fit. I mean, it's a differential diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder, borderline
Mm-hmm.
personality disorder. But I was thinking, ooh, she's kind of young. But what Dr. J talked about makes a lot of sense in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see a lot of congruence with oppositional defiant disorder because she wasn't in direct opposition or defiant to adult caregivers. So her main issue when it came to interactions and aggression was people who were picking on her. I didn't see her picking fights. I saw her at some point learning to stand up for people, after she had been picked on so much.
Hmm. Yeah, the
And the black girl.
continuous marks on her paper.
Hmm.
Now this is different. So we talked about Cruella and how it kind of differed from the live action 101 Dalmatians. Well, um, at the end, so Anita Darling in the original 101 Dalmatians is a friend of hers, and this is a friend that she took advantage of when it came to those puppies. Like she was like, I'm buying these puppies, and she's like, they're like, no, you're not. Well, Anita was the person she grew up in school with. That was her friend, that person that she took up for. That was Anita.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end of the movie, or in the credit part, she actually gives
The
Anita
puppies.
and Roger gives them the puppies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's a little interesting fact, but
Because it was
Because a
like
lot of
a
people
different
missed it.
storyline.
A lot of people missed the ending credits. So I had to tell a couple of my friends, like, you need to go back and watch it. It's
Yeah,
they about to do this thing.
yeah,
yeah,
because
they set it up for another one.
it was a
Mm-hmm.
different storyline altogether. Because I think that, so when I watched it, I said that they made the Baroness character is what we see in all of the past 101 Dalmatians as Cruella's representation.
Mm-hmm.
Because the lead of this company was the Baroness in Cruella, okay, and not Cruella. Estella and Cruella are one person with two different separate identity presentations, and I'm not going to tell you guys how it ends. I'm gonna say
Well,
no.
no, it's important to know
I
that she
can't. I
tried to
can't.
kill that piece of her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
remember in the beginning, she was like, "What do we say to Cruella? She's gone. You know, we're not doing that today. Today, you're Estella. You're going to be a good child, whatever." But she's done with that piece of her. Like, she
Yeah.
fully takes on this. This is who I am.
Right.
Right.
And Estella just left. I don't think we saw Estella after what,
No.
more than half of the movie?
Well, no. We saw Estella. She had to become Estella to come back for her vengeance. When she thought that she murdered her in the little shack house or whatever, she had to come back as Estella.
Right. But then after she really started plotting against her, she was
She
just
plotted,
gone.
yeah, she plotted as, because the reality is this is when she finally solidified her sense of self. So that's what we
Mm-hmm.
see with people with borderline personality.
Mm-hmm.
They have these attachment traumas that lead to the instabilities in their relationship and a lack of identification with who they really are, because they don't have a real good sense of where they came from, who they are, who they can be, and things like that, right? So finally, the story was unveiled. She really didn't know that she was really the heir. She didn't know that that was her mother. So, in learning the truth about her heritage, learning the truth about who she came from and where she came from when this guy saved her, that was the earmark on, you know what, that's why I'm so cruel, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
And so it, because she saw this woman who she found out was her mom as a cruel person, that's why Cruella had to live, because she felt like this is what signifies who I am and why I am this way. But I feel like to go to one end of the extreme is still, it's just as bad. So I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
think
appreciate, oh, go ahead.
no, you're good. You good.
No, I was just going to say that I appreciate it because a lot of times when people have attachment issues, they try to give you a little bit of trust, or they want to see if you going to really like take it there and you really going to betray them. And when she stood on that cliff and she wanted to see if that one was going to push her off, and when she pushed her off, she's like, see, I knew it.
Yep.
But
Can't
she
trust
would she
you.
didn't even feel anything. You can tell. She was just like,
Well,
I knew
she,
it. All
yeah,
people
she
are
set her
bad.
up though. It's like she baited her in to do it because she knew what her next move would be, because she just tried to kill her.
Yeah.
But she
But
didn't
see,
know
that's
she had
what
a
people
parachute on.
right, but that's what people with attachment issues do.
Yep.
They already know, they feel like everybody is out to get them anyway. And they set people up to prove them right.
Yep. They
So that
do.
when they start proving them right all the time, they're just like, see, I can't trust nobody. See, everybody sucks.
But I like the way that she connected with viable people
Hmm.
over the course of the movie after she became an adult.
When you say viable people, who exactly are you talking about?
Talking about the gay shop owner who
Hmm.
owned the dress shop, and yeah, and the two boys that ended up helping her to raise herself, the two boys who were orphans as well, that she attached herself to and continued to be family with over the course of them not only even though they adopted very negative behaviors with stealing and things like that, but that's how they had to live.
I have to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering though, what do you guys think? Like, when it comes to taking in a child, do you think that love is enough?
No,
That love just alone?
no. Because when you start to see behaviors like that, that's when you need to start getting other resources and getting help. And I'm not saying like just therapy, but just at least exploring what exactly is going on. Like you can't love somebody to have like better mental health issues. It doesn't work that way. Or better mental health tendency. It doesn't work that way. And I don't know if I would like to think, and I never like to say like, oh, I'm better than somebody else. I would make a different decision, but I would hope if I was in her situation and I was seeing what she was doing in school, that I would further explore like, what is going on with you? What is it about everything that you're experiencing that's making you feel like it's you against the world?
I feel like had that been a foster mom, I feel like that's the route that she would have taken. But I feel like having been a person who was a servant in that household that that child was given off to, and you know the cruelness of this woman that tried to have this child killed when they were born, we know that in borderline personality, the sense of insecurity comes from the attachment trauma that happens in utero. So her prenatal exposure to someone not wanting her is what shaped Cruella's personality dissociations.
But at the
That's
same
what
time,
caused that.
it doesn't mean that she was a lost cause. Like there still could have been something that could benefit. Because I'm gonna quote
Well,
that book you told
not
me to
that her
read.
being no, not her being a lost cause, but I think it's that was the lady's way of normalizing the behaviors because for her, she's looking at this is the mom.
Right. But see, that's the problem because a lot of people just think that it's just a done deal, that there's nothing you can do about it when it really is. Because I'm telling you,
Yeah,
that book that you told me to read changed my thinking on all types of things. And
I
just
agree.
because you're predisposed to certain mental illnesses and
Pressures
certain
and
issues, you can do something about it and actively work on it and actively get help and teach somebody that no, like there are people out there who will love you for who you are. You just have to find those people.
and believe it or not, I feel like that's what we saw happen.
Mm-hmm.
So right before, as Cruella was going through, did you guys listen to the narrative that she was going through as they had packed up after she was expelled from school?
Mm-hmm.
On that trip, she asked her mom the specific, why are you in your best dress? Because she wanted to know if we're moving and driving to another country, because they were, okay, if we're moving and driving to another country, then why are you dressed like you're going to a party or an event, right? She asked these questions because she needed to understand, and she did fully understand in that moment, like, oh man, I really messed up this time. And her mom saying, didn't blame her for anything, right? That was the centralized focus that helped Cruella move into a different state of being. And that's the reason she was able to connect with these boys in the way that she was able to connect with them. That's why she was able to heal and move into more productive means of trying to provide for herself instead of being distrustful. Because she trusted these boys and welcomed them in, though she knew they would only be using her for whatever it is they needed her to do as a part of their agenda to survive. But she knew that they needed each other. So she learned that, and she said to herself, then, I'm going to make sure that I'm better. She dyed her hair and everything. That's the reason that she suppressed her, discord with her internal stuff that caused her issues because her mom died. What she thought was her mom passed away, right? So I feel like with that trauma compounded on top of her attachment trauma from her original birth mother that she didn't know she had, these things brought her into one with being a better person. The discord happened when these things were challenged. Because you see her go through the distress of being pushed away, turned down, belittled, and all that stuff, and she had all that talent when she worked
Mm-hmm.
at the shop. Okay, so when she had a chance to step into her greatness, she did so. And it just so happened to be under the authority of this very narcissistic woman who ended up being her mother, her real mother. So I think it's just so much, so many different layers as to how we can change and how traumas affect us. Finding out that that's your mother could traumatize anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But seeing that, like, seeing what happened is very traumatic, along with
Mm-hmm.
living on the streets as a child. That's traumatic. Like, there were so many different things that kind of were traumatic for Cruella in that sense, or Estella.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think
Seeing
that,
her mother die, living
In
on the
front of her.
streets, watching her real mother try to kill her. Like there's so many different things.
and not just that, but it's my fault, it's my fault. Constantly pounding that in your head. Who knows how long that trip was when she jumped into the van or the truck and drove to that fountain? Like, who knows how long she was, this is my fault. And then sleeping on it and getting that further into your brain, like, this is my fault, this is my fault. Like, that that's detrimental.
Yeah.
But I asked about the love enough because sometimes family therapy is extremely important. So it's Disney, it was the movie they couldn't go into, her sitting at a shrink's office or whatever. That's what they call them back then. But family therapy could have been significant just for the mother alone to understand Estella at that point in time. So I'm just talking about for now, for right now, nowadays, if this were Cruella today, it could be significant if that person that took on this child could sit in and be involved in therapy versus things that I've seen lately here, fix this child.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But
Exactly.
I feel like it takes more than love, but I feel like love guides behaviors of people. So if the person loves that child and they want the best for that child, they're definitely working towards cultivating greatness in that child. And that's what we saw this woman do. You would have never known this wasn't her kid.
Not always, because I think in this situation we saw it, but I think love looks differently to so many different people. And just because you love somebody and you're still broken and you have all these preconceived issues and things that have happened in your life, love can be very different for you. Love could be toxic. Love could mean I'm going to beat you up. Love could mean um, I'm going to do everything to keep you. That's very unhealthy. So in this situation, yes, I feel like love could inspire greatness, but I think not always.
and some people don't know that problems related to family upbringing is a Z code in the DSM. There's a reason why these things are related to mental health. Um, your family of origin plays a really big role in mental health diagnoses, and how you're gonna, how you, it predicts, it's predictive of how you could manage in the future.
Hmm.
And it
Definitely.
allows us to be able to see people in families initially for, while we're conceptualizing what the real issues of the system are. As systemic therapists, we bring people in and we're not looking for a problem. We're looking to identify what solutions are viable based off of the information you give us.
Hmm.
So when we're seeing you initially, we don't want to assign a diagnosis that's not really accurate, because we need to see a clear picture of the dance of your system. And so that helps us to be able to identify an identified patient and then assign a diagnosis of the system to that person.
Absolutely. Because if somebody was just to diagnose her and not look at her upbringing and her environment and what created Cruella DeVille, then it wouldn't work because she's not just a she's not an individual that's outside of where she's come from. Like if you don't look at the fact that her mother abandoned her, her other mother died, she had all of this bullying going on. She felt like nobody loved her, nobody was truly there for her. Then you're not really seeing the full person. You're just seeing a symptom of the full person.
I think that's where that lust that she had for power, wealth, and luxury came in. Like growing up on the streets. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, she didn't, when she was with her mother that raised her, I didn't see her, tattered clothing or anything, but this mother actually went to go ask the birth mother for money. I mean, I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but
For the
she
movie.
threatened her
Hmm.
and she
Hmm.
said, if you don't do this, I'm going to tell everybody that this is your daughter.
Well, no, that's not what she said.
Well, not exactly, but
That's
it was
how.
pretty much
That's how she made it look to the people that were watching her fall over the cliff. The lady said nobody has to know about any of this. She's
Just give me
taking her
money and I'll go
away.
away.
right.
Yeah,
So
she was taking her
insinuating that she
away.
would tell if
No, she was saying that she needed money to help them get on their feet as they're going to a new place because Cruella had been expelled. And she didn't want anybody to find out that she had a daughter. She didn't want any of that information to get
right. That's
out.
what I'm saying. Like she didn't want that information that was her daughter. So
Yeah. But she wanted to make it look like she was being Cruella's real mother wanted to make it look like she was being exploited for murder, but she killed the one
right.
woman that could tie her to the child.
But I
Beyond
get
Before,
what.
her power, her lust for that power, that wealth, that luxury came from not having a whole lot growing up. And she was at a life stage where that's where you are developing self.
Yeah.
Sense of self is big. And I know there's a difference in cultures, but like growing up and not being able to have much of anything, I mean, I can see why that would make it to where you want that power, that wealth, that luxury, because you didn't have
well,
it, along
well,
with
that didn't
the
that didn't come
power.
until later when she after her mom was cliffed off after the foster mom I'm gonna say was pushed off the cliff by the dogs. That came after she had to actually struggle.
Right. That's
So
what I'm saying.
before, yeah, when she was with her other mom, she was fine. She didn't have a lust or a thirst for power or anything like that because she came from a kind of middle class family.
A
That
little
that
bit though,
at that
because I would
point,
say that she was over there like fighting with the kids in the school and doing all those things to kind of you ain't about to just treat me any kind of way. I'm better than you. Like not I'm better than you, but trying
I'm
to
just as good as you because that's because she
right,
was teased because of the way her hair looked.
right. But
so
she
at
was,
that
but you
point
saw
though,
her
she
like
was
trying to
chased by
go.
dogs, and she came out from under the table, and she said, "That's where I finally felt like I belonged." When she
Well,
came up just from out of the table and saw the whole party that was going on, that's where she felt that connection to her mother, where she was supposed to be.
But
well, she,
also she was
you
still
know, that's
trying
what
to
her
like
mom. Yeah, that's what her mom that was killed, the foster mom. That's what she was teaching her to do, fashion and design and stuff like that. So she
Mhm.
had a natural inclination for creativity from her birth mother, but her birth mother was stealing ideas from the mother who raised her because that's the person that she had doing all the designs before. That's what her job was.
oh, I
So,
thought she was just a cleaner. Are
mm-mm,
you sure?
no,
No, she did the designs,
she
but
did the design. So,
coincidentally, that's what Anita Darling did for Cruella too. So
yep.
Cruella took on that role, like she became who her mother is, which we saw what
Mhm.
antisocial, narcissistic, borderline, like she was all over the place.
But I
Mhm.
don't think that the two are synonymous because these two different movies, I don't think they tie in because the character representation is more of the mother, the original mother or the birth mother of Cruella is actually the one that she's depicted as in 101 Dalmatians, but it doesn't add up because at the end of this movie, Cruella has no issues or quarrels with Dalmatian dogs. She only had the quarrels with the dogs when the dogs were the reason her mother died before she found out and tied in the whistle. When she tied in the whistle, she redirect. You saw when the car stopped when she was in that car with her friends.
Mhm.
That car stopped for a reason. She got out and it resonated with her. She killed my mother. She called the dogs on my mother.
And that is unique to how the brain works and how it can reprocess trauma, which is huge in EMDR. But that one noise triggered that memory for her to go back and reprocess. Wait, this isn't my fault.
Yep.
This is what happened. I'm
Yep.
just, I'm just, yeah, just speaking to how amazing the brain is, how the brain can reprocess different traumas. But I told you guys I had a little something. because this is what Disney does. And I love Disney. I already professed my love to Disney before, but um mental health difficulties do not equal criminality. We see that too many times when it comes to a lot of movies. Like the villain has a significant issue and is also a criminal that needs to go to jail. We have to stop doing that as a society, or the stigma will continue. So I wanted to bring that up and see what you guys thought about that.
I think that you do a good job in your podcast discussing mental health issues, even in like the Disney princesses and stuff like that, where they're not seen as criminals. And I definitely agree with you that it doesn't equal um, just abuse and power and evil and stuff like that. Not definitely not.
Yeah, I think it was like just something that was kind of portrayed, and if we continue this idea, then it could be detrimental for people who are having issues with borderline personality disorder or DID. Like, it doesn't always mean that this person is going to grow up to be someone who is murderous or a criminal.
Yeah, because even when we did our episode on Ariel clearly had a whole bunch of trauma, but all she wanted to do was go up in the water and find her little prince. She wasn't out there like, well, she was stealing stuff, but it was just from the beach. She wasn't stealing it from people. So yeah, it doesn't have to equal criminality. I agree. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like if we move to destigmatize those stigmas that are associated with people having mental health disorders, I think that law enforcement responds to us in a different way, but we also see criminalization in a different way as well. So the two are not synonymous. Even when we look at now, a crime is a crime. You're breaking the law when you're breaking the law, whether you have a mental health disorder or not. So if you're a klepto, God bless your heart, but you're a whole thief out here in these streets. Like, you can't be out here just pickpocketing everybody and then not have any consequences.
And don't try to blame it on no mental health either.
Exactly, because we can tell the difference, okay, in that obsession and impulsivity being a part of why you're still.
I'm dumb, and they try to get over like that.
Right.
I struggle with this.
Yeah, no, but I do feel like we did see a lot of criminal behavior in the movie because, of course, we saw people stealing vehicles, we saw people stealing people's wallets and money and things, like robbing them in the hotel. The Cruella and her crew was doing it, but so
I'm excited. I'm excited to see how Disney kind of puts it all together for the sequel, because I know they will. I'm just waiting.
I know that there'll be another one, because I feel like this is a completely different narrative from the 101 and 102 Dalmatian movies. I don't feel like the two are synonymous, simply because, like I told you guys, the way the characters are painted out, who and where Anita is positioned in the movie, none of these things are synonymous to or incongruence with what we've seen in the 101 and 102 Dalmatian series. And I wasn't even able to digest those movies. This one is very digestible. It's a great movie. If you've not seen it, go out there and do your due diligence. Go support Disney in this movie, because I feel like it's more representative than any other movie they've ever done when it comes to populations.
We are not sponsored.
We are not sponsored by Disney, but I'm definitely pushing this movie because I feel like this movie is it.
Because I've done a whole lot of them, but I'm excited for the next one. Don't know what that'll be, but stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right, so it's been great to have this discussion and to bring you guys some content from Dominique's channel and things like that. I'm really excited about it. I hope this has done justice to the movie Cruella in review or whatever, because I saw some negative reviews out there. But let me tell you something. Don't believe them negative reviews, because this is a good movie. Period. It's a good movie. Period. It is. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sitting through with us for this 47-minute segment or so. And continue to like and subscribe to my content, because you know I have accountability conversations, but also go over. I included a link in the description with Dominique's YouTube that's newly established. Go and support her. Big ups to Dominique moving out and stepping into these YouTube streets, because it's interesting. And also for people looking for content for their kids, their teenagers and stuff like that, she does a really good job at summing up the character analyzation as it applies to mental health issues and regular lay people issues, and making that content relatable when it comes to those Naruto and what is the anime?
Naruto. Oh my gosh.
Anime.
What
is that? Manga?
Oh,
I don't know. I don't watch that stuff. I don't
either, but I still knew it was Naruto.
I don't know. I don't watch any of that.
I like cartoons and crime shows. That's it. Cartoons, crime shows. Anime, you cannot group it as cartoons. So anime, cartoons, crime shows. And I'm good.
So you must like Boondocks. Isn't that both? And South Park.
Yeah, I mean, you want to do that? We can do that, but I don't want to make no promises on here.
Boondocks is rough.
It is.
So, it is. Again, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for checking us out. Enjoy the outro, and that's all I got. You guys go ahead one more time and tell them where they can find you.
At IPCS Indiana on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and That LCSW on Facebook, along with All Things Mental podcasts.
I am at Self-Care for the letter 4 in all social media outlets, and also Chenelle Speaks at all social media outlets.
And then also check out Chenelle's podcast, Mommy's Little Girls. She does a really good job, you guys, at talking about and conducting interviews with mothers and trying to connect how you parent with the way that you were parented. And I really feel like that's a really needed podcast at this point. So that's all we got, you guys. Thanks for checking out this particular segment, and thanks for hanging out with us. Later days. Make good decisions. Bye.
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 Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I rip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bunny. Don't try studying me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.